Hello and welcome to a new episode of Escapades Player Review Session. My name is Suryansh and I'm delighted to be joined today by Amit and Akshat. So talk to me boys, how was your game week 10? And let's not talk about my team because I don't want to start off this episode with, talking about red arrows. So Amit, how was it for you?
Okay, so started off bit dodgy because I did not start Wilson, and I thought of all the weeks of continuing with him, and I this was the week when I benched Wilson and he gave 12 points, so I was disappointed. But luckily, Sterling did not even come on as a substitute, so it worked out well in the end. It was going all fine because I brought in Jota and he scored, and then midfield I had Bruno and then Grealish, everyone scoring. But I hope to myself that I would give a really big push this week. Unfortunately, because of the Vardy, basically Vardy doinking, so it did not work. I did not get that final big push. But in all, I got 67 points out of it. So I'll be happy with that, especially with the average being 44 points. All in all, it was a good week for me.
That's a good game week. What about you, Akshat? How was your game week?
Yeah, I don't think I should talk about it because for me the only
Join
players
the
who
club.
performed yeah the only players who performed for me were Bruno and KDB. So like our last videos player review session where we talked about the six players, I think Jota helped Amit when he brought him in, and for me it was Bruno as always. And then it was good to see KDB back in form. In the end, I scored only 54 points. What about you?
Let's just say I managed average.
Okay.
my captain, my captain didn't start. Couple of players gave me 0 points. Ollie Watkins. I'm sure we'll talk about him more in the video. So putting all that stress behind us, let's look forward. So in this week's special, all three of us take select one player each, and categorize that player under a certain category: hit or a miss. Players who performed well, overperformed, gave managers returns. We've put them under hit, and sadly, players who couldn't give us returns we wanted, we've classified them as the miss of the week. So yeah, let's get started with Akshat. Akshat, what's your star of the week, shall we call it?
Well, I prefer to pick a player from United. So this time it's not Bruno, it's Edison Cavani. His record speaks on his behalf. When Ole brought Cavani from the bench at the start of second half, it showed manager trust the player and the way he paid him back. I mean, 100% more, if not less. Like for even at the age of 33, age is just a number for this legend. El Matador, he leads the line in attack and while defending too because of his high octane energy. His ability to score as a striker and creator is top notch. The creation part, which we saw when
Absolutely.
he contributed for the first goal and Bruno scored. And I think his record is also very much. His record is also very great. Like just 3 goals and 1 assist in around 130 odd minutes that he has played. And I think he's a very good pick because I think he'll get the starts after the performance that he showed last match.
Also, I think priced at eight, he's a very, a player who could, give you good returns for that value. And
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
I'm pretty sure he's done enough for him to start.
So, Suryansh, what's your pick for the hit of the week?
So my pick for this week was really a no-brainer. Is Riyad Mahrez. With an ownership of almost 4%, is not, I guess, is not valued enough by us FPL managers. We all know what a lovely player he is, but this game week, a hat trick, and could have added to an assist also. Three goals, of which two were, you could call them traditional Mahrez goals. Uh, so this season, I really feel he's been playing well, and like Mahrez himself said in his interview, it was frustrating to see a player perform well but not giving returns in terms of FPL. So glad for the managers who had Mahrez in their team. Sadly, I did not. Chose the wrong city asset. And going forward, I think Mahrez is pretty nailed on. He's done enough for the first time. In his Man City career, I feel he's done enough to be a part of the City 11. Prior to this, people like Sane, Sterling have always overshadowed him. This season, for the first time, he's coming through that patch wherein he's the main man, and that's good to see. And with Aguero coming back, I think he'll be much more dangerous, if not more. And yeah, that's my pick of the week. So Amit, what's your pick?
So after all those great picks, I have gone for a slightly unconventional pick. Unconventional yet fruitful in terms of points. Because as I have mentioned in one of the previous videos, that I haven't gone for DCL this season. Instead of DCL, I've gone with the Wilson and the Watkins sort of a route. And
Mhm,
luckily for the past this week, I had Wilson on my team.
mhm.
Actually, the thing is, I had him on the bench as I mentioned earlier, and because Sterling did not play, and I
No,
was
that
lucky.
that was one thing that I loved. I looked at your team and I found solace that you have Sterling, I have Sterling, but that solace was short-lived. Got 12 points off the bench, so not
You
surprised.
had no idea how hard my prayers were during that City match. I was like, no, 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 please do not bring on Sterling. You have you have screwed me enough times, but please not Sterling this time. But yeah, although to be very honest, the game was very cagey and it was a very dud game. But what happened was, after that Wilson goal, the game opened up, and then Jolington, he played Jolington through for a second goal of the match, and it
Mhm,
sounded like it was a complete performance from
mhm,
Newcastle, but
mhm.
it was another typical Steve Bruce performance. But yeah, in FPL wise, at 6.4, 12 points, you cannot actually go wrong with Wilson.
So after that interesting and enticing session, we come to the misses or the underperformers of the week, as we like to call them. The players who did not, there were some juicy fixtures. I'm not going to lie. The players who couldn't live up to the expectations, um, so my pick going into game week 11 for game week 10, my underperformer of the week was Aubameyang. Um, he's been or the club's been disastrous over the last few weeks. If that's an understatement. But you know, playing somebody like Aubameyang, on the wings doesn't really make sense. Um, doesn't for me. Plays wide in this Arteta system. Hasn't been scoring, hasn't been assisting since quite some time now. And I remember having this conversation with all. If I'm not wrong, it was all of us together. The first episode. I remember saying that Arsenal, 80% of output, Arsenal's output is thanks to this guy, and when he slows or he dries up, it's tough times for Arsenal, and the likes of Pepe and Lacazette not firing, puts extra pressure on him. FPL wise, almost 11% ownership. That is pretty high, given his price this season, and also that he's a midfielder. Um, Also, that Aubameyang and Arsenal have managed 94 shots in the last 10 game weeks, and um, that's pretty low. If I'm not wrong, it's in the bottom five in the league. Your striker is not going to score if you only have 94 shots in 10 game weeks. That's pretty bad. And after a very long time, seeing the Arsenal team, um, I did get a little scared, because I know a few friends who have Aubameyang as captains. I thought that playing as striker, he might give in returns. But I was pretty surprised to see that he managed only one shot on target the entire game, only 9 touches in the Wolves penalty box. So not.
And the stats that which we are seeing on the screen, I think Cavani has better stats. and he has played almost 750 minutes less than
Yeah,
Oba.
that's yeah.
Akshat Akshat
So
has been waiting for a long time
yeah,
to
yeah, I
plug this
was
in.
waiting to say
To
this.
put that in. Yeah, and as a striker is not really performing when the goal of the month for the club is a penalty, if I'm not wrong. Uh, so yeah, if you have Aubameyang, why? So yeah, let's move forward. Akshat, um, talk to me, man. Who's your underperformer of the week?
For me, I think this was a very exciting match, like Everton versus Leeds. I think it was to and
Yeah.
fro because both sides were attacking, both sides were having equal amount of goof ups, and both had equal amount of excellent goalkeeping. But
Mm,
the player that I have picked is James Rodriguez. Because after storming into the Premier League with 3 goals and 3 assists in the first 5 matches, he has failed to score or assist from game week 6 onwards. Although he missed game week 7, but ever since his return from the injury, he has not put in the shift that FPL managers will appreciate, like managing only 6 points in 3 matches, and he still has a high ownership as compared to other players. Though it goes down for Everton as a unit with injury crisis, then there was absence of Richarlison also
mhm.
for the after the straight red card that he had, because we don't have any doubt about the talent that James possesses. But
Absolutely.
for me, he was disappointing for the last game week.
So yeah, moving forward, we have
So
Amit's
Amit,
pick.
what's your
Yeah,
pick?
it's Amit's turn. Yeah, man. Really looking
So
forward to this.
okay.
Yes,
So I'm guessing you had Ollie Watkins in your team, right?
yes, I
Yes.
did.
So I love Ollie Watkins, and I think you should captain him for next week against Newcastle.
If
But
for somebody who was watching the game, this kind of performance, I'm assuming that you've picked Ollie Watkins because of um, the probability. The if everything would have gone right, I would have been here, talking like you are talking about Wilson, 12 points, everything sorted.
I first started looking at Watkins in that championship match against Fulham, and I liked the player instantly. And in fact, I even wanted him at United, even at 28 million as a coming on as a backup when we did not know the Cavani thing was going to happen. As a
Gonna
backup, I
happen.
thought he was a yeah, as a backup sort of a striker, but at Villa he has taken into fish to water. But unfortunately for him, for a striker of his caliber, you cannot be missing those kind of penalties. At least you have to work the keeper. Basically, as they say, he was unlucky that he hit the post, but you cannot be doing that, especially we're 2-1 down. Although he was unlucky with that offside goal, but uh, category wise, at 6 he have been disappointing this season, especially he was disappointing this game week, especially because he did not even manage a return of 1 point. So if you look at this category, basically you have to give it to Watkins for uh, it may sound a bit harsh, but it has to be Watkins for
It's
this
all
week.
about expectation and the returns that the player
Exactly.
gives actually.
Exactly, and
My
especially with the game being open, it was not a cagey affairs because Villa were creating chances.
also, bringing your point here, he's competing with the likes of Bamford in that price range. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, in FPL lines.
I guess could have, should have doesn't really work.
So with this, we come to the end of this video, this week's special. It was lovely talking to you lads as usual. Um, please subscribe to us, like the video, share all that good stuff, and also please drop down in the comments and please write down any topics that you want us to discuss. I'm sure um, there are many topics that Amit is itching to talk about. So any topic the viewers want us to discuss, going forward. Um, the player review will be coming out next week as usual. So till then, wishing you all green arrows and having a good game week 11. Thanks for joining us and thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.
Like,